All right. So our today's questions. Let's take them here. Having dedicated several years, the researcher I we are live. Okay. All right. So having dedicated several years, the researcher finally felt to the study of ancient civilization confident enough to publish her finding. Okay. So you see, I told you like how this structure can go now here. Having dedicated here several years to the study of ancient civilizations, the researcher finally felt confident enough to publish her findings. So it is A, C, B, D. And of course, if you say the researcher finally felt confident enough to publish her findings, having dedicated several years to the study of ancient civilizations. No. Here, having dedicated several years because the complete action that, okay, this is the completed action, so it will come first. Okay, so A, C, B, D. That is the only option here. Good. Next. Through the rain-slicked window, the weary traveler noticed, standing motionless by the gate, a figure dressed in a heavy coat. So what is there? There's another ing clause here I would draw your attention to. The weary traveler noticed, no, a figure dressed in a heavy coat. So a figure dressed in a heavy coat, standing motionless by the gate. Through the rain-slicked window, the weary traveler noticed. The weary traveler noticed through the rain-slicked window, standing motionless by the gate, a figure dressed in... No. All right, everybody, pay attention to it. This is interesting. So, a figure dressed in a heavy coat, standing motionless by the gate. Through the rain-slicked window, the weary traveler noticed. No, it can't be that. The weary traveler noticed a figure dressed in a heavy coat, standing motionless by the gate. Through the rain-slicked window. Okay. So here it is. Through the rain-slicked window, the weary traveler noticed a figure dressed in a heavy coat, standing motionless by the gate. A, B, D, C. So through the rain-slicked window, the weary traveler noticed a figure dressed in a heavy coat, standing motionless by the gate. So this ing form here will give you some idea, right? And why I'm connecting slicked window? Through the rain-slicked window, the weary traveler, weary tired traveler noticed a figure, and then standing motionless. Okay, so somewhere you make this connection. Next. Thoroughly reviewed by legal experts, the international corporation requires these intricate partnership agreements before the final signature is applied. Okay. See, like there is one thing is thoroughly reviewed. This ED clause, as we were talking today, these intricate partnership agreements, thoroughly reviewed by legal experts before the final signature is applied. The international corporation requires these intricate partnership agreements thoroughly reviewed by legal experts before the final signature is applied. Yeah, so the international corporation requires these intricate partnership agreements B, C, A, D. Why is this? How, like, I'm going to thoroughly review it from here, because these intricate partnership agreements which are thoroughly reviewed by legal experts before the final signature is applied. So I'm connecting this ED clause with this part, with this partnership agreements, because agreements are reviewed, right? Okay, next. With an air of quiet confidence, the entire committee watched the young entrepreneur explain a revolutionary business model. Okay, the entire committee watched the young entrepreneur, that one structure we talked to. I was telling you about that. Have you never seen anybody dance to particular song? Or in that example I said ghazal. So here this is the entire committee watched, they watched the young entrepreneur explain her revolutionary business model with an air of quite quiet confidence. Okay, so B, C, D, A. All right. If you like, I don't see like in this any kind of connector that you can kind of fit, but it's about the understanding here. The entire committee watched the young entrepreneur explain her revolutionary, the young entrepreneur, her, so that pronoun is coming here, so the young entrepreneur, this sentence will come, this part of the sentence will come first, and her revolutionary business model with an air of confidence. This is how she explained. Next. Do you happen to recognize the lead singer of the band currently arguing with the sound engineer behind the main stage area? This fits in ABCD. So do you happen to recognize the lead singer of the band currently arguing with the sound engineer behind the main stage area? So this, as we talked about this one ing clause, what is happening at a particular time, right? So this is what happening here. So it will be A, it will be A, B, C, D in the same order. Do you happen to recognize the lead singer of the band currently arguing with the sound engineer behind the main stage area? All right, next. Were immediately declared the valuable paintings recovered after the high-profile theft, national treasures by the government. So here I would like to draw your attention to recovered, ed clause, past participle, third form, were immediately declared. That is fine. The valuable paintings. So the valuable paintings recovered after the high-profile theft, okay, were immediately declared national treasures by the government. Yeah. So the valuable paintings recovered after the high-profile theft were subject verb agreement that we keep talking. So here you see the valuable paintings recovered after the high-profile theft, ed clause, and then were a plural helping verb, paintings to were, and declared national treasures by the government. So it is BCAD. Good. BCAD. And see, every time what I'm underlining, what I want to highlight is that this is what be your coup. This is where you need to connect, understand, right? All right, next. Echoing through the empty valley, the residents heard For several hours after sunset, the haunting sound of the wolves, but here, echoing, ing clause, echoing through. For several hours after sunset, the haunting sounds of wolves, the residents heard, echoing through the empty valley, the haunting sounds of the wolves for several hours after sunset. Okay, so the residents heard what they heard, echoing through the empty valley. The residents heard the haunting sounds of the wolves, the haunting sound of the wolves echoing through the empty valley. Yes, for several hours after sunset. So this is B, the residents heard the haunting sounds of the wolves and sounds of the wolves, haunting sounds of the wolves echoing through the empty valley for several hours after sunset. So B, D, A, C. Next. The local council members are finally getting, after months of public complaints, the main bridge repaired and widened. Okay, what is the connection here? I think it's a little simpler one. The local council members are finally getting the main bridge repaired and widened after months of public complaints. So what we see here, that the local council members are finally getting the main bridge repaired and widened after months of public complaints. Sometimes I tell you that whenever there is a time thing, okay, made a mistake. Whenever there is a time thing, like after months of public complaints, it can go at the end of the sentence or it can come like first also, both ways, right? So after months of public complaints, the local council members are finally getting the main bridge repaired and widened. Okay, or you can say the local council members are finally getting the main bridge repaired and widened after months of public complaints. So both ways it would be correct. Okay, let me write here A, B, D, C, and if you write down C, A, B, D, that will also go, should go, as I already said, language is that flexible. Okay, next. The veteran politician, not wanting to provoke, chose to remain silent. Any further backlash from the media? Chose, it's the second form. Chose is the second form. Any further backlash? The veteran. Okay, so it feels like it's the veteran politician subject, not wanting to provoke. Politician, not wanting. Ing clause here. The politician not wanting to provoke any further backlash from the media chose to remain silent. All right, so it is A, B, D, C. Next. Were eventually showcased the scientific theories at the Global Innovation Summit developed by the postgraduate students. Here our ED clause is there, and what can be developed? Of course, the scientific theories. So the scientific theories developed by the postgraduate students were eventually showcased at the Global Innovation Summit. See how easy arrangement becomes when you find some connectors, right? So here, what can be developed? Scientific theories. So it goes like B, the scientific theories developed by the postgraduate students were eventually theories, then of course this verb, plural verb here, were eventually showcased where at the Global Innovation Summit. B D A C. Next, we can move to next. In under 2 hours, the marathon runner crossing the finishing line triumphantly, the spectators saw. So here our ing clause here, crossing the finish line. The marathon runner crossing the finish line triumphantly in under 2 hours. The spectators saw. So the spectators is kind of subject here. So think of this, the spectators saw the marathon runner crossing the finish line triumphantly in under 2 hours. So it is D, B, marathon runner crossing. So you see this connection from B to C, and then in under 2 hours. The time is can go here at the end in this sentence. All right, let's move to next. Having its headquarters renovated by a world-renowned architect. Having its headquarters renovated. It is this structure, you know, where you arrange somebody to do something, right? Having the headquarters renovated. Who? By a world-renowned architect. Okay, the tech giants is having. So here you can see the connection of like is and having. The tech giants is having its headquarters renovated. It's, as I said, it's a kind of passive here. So by C A B D. All right, so the tech giants is having its headquarters renovated by a world-renowned architect throughout the upcoming fiscal year. D. Okay, next. Are the ones in the central courtyard discussing the new policy the students gathered there. One thing to underline here, this ing clause. Okay, the students, and here this is our ed clause, but it's only in one part, so not difficult one. The students gathered there. The students gathered there discussing the new policy are the ones. No, this will take some thinking here. In the central courtyard, the students gathered. In the central courtyard, the students gathered there are the ones. No. Okay, the students gathered there. Okay, are the ones discussing the new policy in the central courtyard. Okay, this is a little confusing here for me also. The students gathered there in the central courtyard are the ones discussing the new policy. Yeah, that makes sense. The students gathered there. Where? The students gathered there in the central courtyard are the ones discussing the new policy. Okay, the students gathered there in the central courtyard are the ones discussing the new policy. How it goes? D, B, A, C. The students gathered there in the central courtyard. The students gathered there in the central courtyard are the ones discussing the new policy. Okay, this there is confusing a little bit here. I wonder if it should really be there. The students gathered are the ones in the students gathered in the central courtyard are the ones discussing the new policy. But anyway, this there is they are creating some problem, but that is the only DBACEAC sounds correct here. All right, next. Sought guidance from his therapist. It should be this past participle here. ED clause, third form past participle. Overwhelmed. This is again on of his new executive position, the young manager. Okay, what you see here, overwhelmed. Overwhelmed what? Position. The young manager sought guidance from his therapist. Okay, the young manager who was overwhelmed by the immense pressure sought guidance from his therapist. Okay, but now this is also missing. We need to bring that of his new executive position. The young manager of his new executive position sought guidance from his therapist. No. Of his new executive position. No. The young manager overwhelmed. See, like these are the links that we need to understand. When there is this ED clause or third form, this is where you need to find the right connection. So the young manager, it sounds good, like the young manager overwhelmed by the immense pressure sought guidance from his therapist. You know, but where it goes, this one is becoming a problem here. Let's fit this. Of his new executive position, the young manager, no. Sought guidance from his therapist of his new executive position. The young manager overwhelmed by the immense pressure of his new executive position. Yes, pressure of his, yeah. So this pressure of this we can connect with this preposition, you know. So the young manager, who is the manager? Who is overwhelmed, who was overwhelmed by the immense pressure of his new executive position, sought guidance from his therapist. All right, so it is D, B, C, A. Good, we did it. Last one. Our last question of the day is, can you of the secure facility find the confidential files stored in the restricted section? So here, ED clause. And what can be the stored? Of course, confidential files. So these things come here. Can you of the secure facility find the confidential files stored in the restricted sections? All right, so it goes into A, B, C, D. Simple. A, B, C, D. Again, don't forget what this today's class was about. Today's class about that how we can find the right parts and bring them together by recognizing some ing clause and some ed clause, some third form, past participle, and there is a connection as I explained. So you should go back in the video, understand that how that whenever there is a third form, that past participle is there, and when there is this ing form, how they connect with each other. Okay, so you will have this idea whenever you get these four parts, any part that is with third form or with ing form. Before that, we already talked about different clauses, connectors, conjunctions, relative pronoun. Before that, we had talked about subject verb agreement. So I think these are the major areas, these are the major points that you should pay attention to when you are preparing this particular chapter. And this was our last chapter. You should go through these classes, take help of maybe some other material, make some more examples, that would also help. But whatever I explained, go through it, understand it, do these questions. And from here on, I think we will go to, because in our syllabus there are passages are there that you need to do: literary passage, narrative, and factual. And there are matchings of like two sections, two boxes are given there. Many times it's idiom, phrasal verbs, some word meanings, and there are of course idiom, phrasal verbs also one section there. Antonyms, synonyms are there. So in coming classes I would be coming with those chapters. Okay, but pay attention to this because I really believe that's important. Of course we are going to do our unseen passage, that also maybe I'll come with the unseen one passage on the screen and I explain that. What can I explain in that, what you can really learn about unseen passage. Sometimes maybe some nuances in sentence, what can be some hidden meaning, some subtle meaning, that this is where you might get confused. And maybe through that I will explain you that how you can recognize some subtleties, some conjunctions which can give a different tone to a passage, right? Because sometimes you think it is praising somebody, but maybe it is not, because the words have been used sarcastically, right, ironically, in different opposite meaning. So there are something that can, we of course will talk about that also. So those classes also important, but these arrangement of sentences, I think these are really important. Go through them, and those tenses and passive verbs and all that, all kind of sentences structure, go through them because that all helps. Okay, all right, thank you, all the best, enjoy your reading.